Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome you to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show. I think, Florence, it's been a great week once again.
Yes.
And we've been really, oh man, I mean, the weather is breaking for us, and you know, people are getting out and about, and they still want to read their publications. And we want individuals to know about this great free service that is an audio information service that allows individuals that are print challenged, those that are blind, those that are that have problems turning pages, those that have certain forms of dyslexia. Even the deafblind now can access this free service. And you know, we have free access to where you can use your landline phone, and if you're out and about during the summer and traveling around, you can utilize this free service using your mobile devices and your digital talking player device from the National Library of Congress that's free. And for those of you that aren't aware of that free service there, you can call your Talking Book and Braille Library Services to find out how to acquire one of these digital talking players, as well as how to sign up and subscribe to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline service. It allows individuals to read over 500 publications, and I'll talk briefly about the newspapers. You know, we have a number of newspapers throughout the state of Indiana that individuals can read independently, instantaneously, any day of the week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You also have your national newspapers, such as your Wall Street, your Times, and your journals. You can read all of those publications, as well as publications throughout the country. And we also have publications internationally, 17 international publications that you can read. All of this is free. Florence, you want to talk a little bit about the magazines?
I certainly can, Lee. Now, there are various magazines. Now, I have my favorites, but as the weather breaks, I'm finding that a lot of people might enjoy Family Circle magazine, Family Fun, you know, just to get out and enjoy the weather. There's Reader's Digest, there's WebMD. There's magazines for people who enjoy fitness, you know, such as Shake Magazine. And for people who are also diabetic, there's Diabetic Forecast. So there is a variety of magazines for everyone.
And being as though it's the weather time and people are getting out, I'm sure a lot of women like to read the glamour magazines. And, you know, a lot of seniors like to read the AARP magazine and newsletters to keep up on the trends and styles and news of individuals. So just stay tuned and listen to our commercials, find out a lot of information, record the information or write down the information as to how you can subscribe to our free service. And we'll be right back with our show today, and we have some fantastic guests, and I'm sure you will enjoy them. So stay tuned.
I'm Danny Wayne Beamer, Program Manager of the Elder Blind Program at the Will Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. I introduce the NFB Newsline to seniors in 13 southwestern counties in Indiana. I also utilize the NFB Newsline for my radio station public affairs shows. The NFB Newsline. Experience it today.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I use NFB Newsline when reading Hammond Northwest Times.
Using NFB Newsline, I read the Christian Science magazine. Dad, you read Jerusalem Post too.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Live the life you want. Read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana. And we have some very special guests today. We have Miss Kim Irwin, Miss Erica Tate, and Miss Allison Bishop. So welcome to the show. Now, Miss Kim.
I'm the Executive Director of Health by Design. We work in Indianapolis and in communities around the state of Indiana at the intersection of the built environment and public health. So that's about how our transportation systems, our land use patterns, our neighborhood design, our parks and recreation and open spaces, how all of that either supports healthy and active living or can be a barrier to it. And so a lot of the work that we do comes down to issues around walking, biking, transit, and then land use.
Okay, and your title?
I'm the Executive Director with Health by Design.
Okay,
Yes.
and Ms. Erica?
Yes, I'm Erica Tate, also with Health by Design. I work along with Kim in the work she described, and my title is Reach Active Living Manager.
All right, and Allison?
And I'm Allison Bishop from Accessibility. We're a disability rights organization. So we work with all types of disabilities, all ages. We're a Center for Independent Living, so we're one of 10 in the state of Indiana. And our service area is Marion County, so Indianapolis, the metro area, and then the surrounding counties, so Hamilton, Hendricks, Boone, Johnson, all the donut counties. And so we serve anybody with a disability of any age. If you just need extra services, all of our services are free. And I'm the outreach coordinator.
All right, well, you said the magic word, free. Okay, and now you three are working together on a project. But first, I'd like to know this Indiana Pedestrian Safety Project.
Sure.
That is currently going on. Is this something new, or is this something that's been going on for quite some time?
Yes, so I can speak to that. So we have been working in Indianapolis and Marion County specifically for the last 4 years or so, I'd say, in a partnership between Health by Design, the City of Indianapolis, and the Marion County Public Health Department. And through that, our overall goals are to help increase walkability, to make our neighborhoods safer, more accessible for people walking or rolling if they're using a mobility device, that kind of thing. And so this project specifically has been around looking at where the areas of most risk are, where people are being hit by cars, unfortunately, in the city, and then looking at those geographic areas, prioritizing those, and then targeting interventions, targeting outreach, targeting infrastructure improvements in those areas in order to make it safer and more accessible for people to be able to walk and to want to walk.
Okay, now I noticed that you're working along with Accessibilities.
Yes.
Are there other agencies whom you partner with?
Yes, definitely. So in addition to the city and the health department, we have a number of community-based partners, groups like the YMCA of Greater Indianapolis, AERP. We work with bike organizations as well. And then we work with a lot of community development corporations and neighborhood associations who are directly involved in working very closely with residents and people who live in, again, these geographic areas. So we've worked with accessibility on the most recent targeted area, and I'll let Allison speak more about that partnership, but it's been a great opportunity to, again, work with a community partner and the clients they serve and in their neighborhood, if you will, and to be able to, again, advance work around improving safety and improving access for people who are walking.
Thank you. Now, go ahead.
How do you, or how are you funded?
Sure. So Health by Design is funded by in a number of ways. We work with public agency funds through the health department in Marion County, the state health department. We have funding through the city of Indianapolis. We have had over the years a number of funding sources that have been Centers for Disease Control and Prevention dollars, so essentially public health dollars that have come through the state of Indiana or directly to Health by Design through other partners. So we don't have a membership fee. We certainly, at times, will do events with sponsorship and that kind of thing, but we're working directly with public health funding, transportation funding, safety funding, that kind of thing to make those improvements.
Now, we're talking about neighborhoods. I'd like to kind of talk about neighborhoods
Sure.
and sidewalks and,
Right.
and crossings.
Yeah.
When you notice a problem or when a consumer notices a problem
Sure.
in their community, what steps do you advise for them to take to get with you guys?
Yeah, definitely. Would either of you like to speak to that?
We'll let you start off.
Okay. So we typically do recommend that people take a number of steps. And unfortunately, when you're walking down the street or rolling down the street and you notice them, it can be hard to stop in the moment and do that. But certainly as follow-up, we always advise that people in Marion County specifically contact the Mayor's Action Center, or Request Indy, it is also called. There's an app for phones, or you can go online or you can call. And so that makes it formally documented with the city. We also then advise that people contact their mayor's neighborhood advocate. So every part of the city has an advocate who's the liaison between the community, the residents, the neighborhoods, and City Hall, if you will. And so that's a great contact. And then also to contact city county councilors and make sure that they know that there's an issue and again, that it's creating a problem or a barrier for the person walking. And then certainly people are always welcome to contact us at Health by Design to help, either make those connections or to help advocate on behalf of them in other ways that might help make an improvement happen. Sometimes that can be a very quick and easy fix. Other times it is much more long-term and expensive.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have partners on the on various sides of town? Let's say you're probably on the far east side, correct? Do you have partners also on the west side, north and south as well?
We do, yes. So we've worked with the International Marketplace area, so the old, what was formerly known as Lafayette Square area, and so with partners there, specifically around these pedestrian safety issues. We've also done work in the Martindale-Brightwood area and the Meadows area, so on like East 38th Street and both north and south of that. We have partners, the Meridian Street corridor, really from downtown up to 30th, 34th, and then even 38th Street is an area of importance in terms of safety. And so we haven't done a project or work specifically like we did with accessibility on that corridor, but there are a number of partners that we've been involved with over time. Mapleton Fall Creek Development Corporation, we work closely with the Board of Realtors, other, like the Children's Museum is along that route, that kind of thing, to work, again, in improving walkability long-term.
Okay. So your role then, Allison, with the Health by Design, can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
Yes, so accessibility was the community hub, and I specifically through that was the community champion. So it was my duty for 3 months. They gave us a grant to do this work, and so I went out in the community. We had 3 zones, 3 areas, which was most of Washington Street, so East Washington Street from Sherman and then to the east all the way down to 465, and then kind of up on 10th Street on the east side, so kind of right from where the John Bonner Center is and then to the east of that. And I went out in those neighborhoods and spoke with residents, spoke with businesses, spoke with other people, churches, organizations, and was talking to them about pedestrian safety, the challenges, barriers that they were experiencing, any kind of connections that they wanted to share, anything they wanted me to write down. And then especially since we're a disability rights organization, we really look at it through the lens of disability, because if you have a disability, it's just that much harder to be out in your community and be walking in those neighborhoods. So for 3 months, I was just gathering community support, which then culminated in our workshop that we held at the library on East Washington Street, which you attended, and we had community members there trying to come up with solutions for these problems that we were addressing for the previous 3 months. And so we're still working together a little bit to kind of go over those solutions and the work that problems that we wrote down and how we can submit those to the Department of Public Works and to the Mayor's Council with Disabilities so we can get those hopefully solved and make it improved in those neighborhoods for pedestrians.
Now, is there any one particular problem that you're noticing or complaint that you're noticing from the business owners or even the consumers regarding pedestrian safety?
So in that area on Washington Street, the business owners and the people who live directly on Washington Street were very concerned about the amount of traffic that there is because there's many schools along that route, and so parents were concerned for their children, the schools were concerned for their students because there's not very many crosswalks. So the students, especially younger students, would have to walk a great distance between each crosswalk, and they're not likely to cross at a crosswalk because they're in a hurry, and the amount of traffic and speed that is the drivers there, it creates danger zones, and there have been crashes and fatalities previously on Washington Street. And so we're just trying to address those and make sure that we can hopefully improve those. And there was a crosswalk put in, and then there was a rapid flashing signal also put in on Washington Street. So some things have changed, but we want to make sure that they, continue to change for the better.
If I could add something onto that, what Allison described is not only a local concern, but we found that it's a national issue with regard to the design of various roadways and then the destinations on either side of the roadways. Obviously, like in this case, if you have schools on one side and then businesses or homes on the other, people are going to cross frequently. And then having the challenge of the speeds, even if the speed limit may be set at a reasonable number, sometimes the design makes it easier for cars to go faster, and so that also makes it more dangerous for pedestrians. So I say that to say it is a local issue that has been noted, but it's also a national issue that has gotten quite a bit of attention over the past few years.
Okay.
Well, we're going to take us a short pause, and we're going to come back and discuss some more of these barriers that our communities are facing, not only here in Indianapolis and Indiana, but around the country. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with our great guest, Pat.
I am a blind vendor, and one of the things that I truly miss is reading Vending Times magazine.
Hoosiers can hear Indiana magazines, circulars, national magazines, and information from across the globe. Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
It is a fantastic service.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show. We have our special guest here today from Health by Design and Accessibilities. And thank you all for being our guests today.
Sorry.
And we are going to continue with our conversation about pedestrian safety here in Indiana. And during our break, we had an opportunity to discuss various things. One was about the barriers are the things that are really pressing, keeping people from walking in our community. And brought up a subject about some of the modes of transportation.
Yes.
that people are using, and we talked about other things as well. So let's just get back to our conversation. Now, Kim, what would you consider to be one of the biggest complaints that you get about pedestrian safety?
Yeah, sure. So I think that what we often hear is most important, and is certainly the focus of much of the work that we do, is around the infrastructure itself. And so are the presence or absence of sidewalks, are there literally places for people to walk and be safe, separated from the areas where the cars are? Crosswalks were mentioned, signals, and whether those are working at all, and whether they have a countdown, which can help both pedestrians and drivers understand. So that infrastructure piece almost always rises to the top in terms of the issues. And again, it's a big focus of the work we do. But one of the other important things, and to our conversation, is that we have a lot of people sharing space on the roadway, right? Lots of different users using lots of different modes. And I'm gonna have Erica speak to that a bit in terms of that sharing the road idea.
Well, I think to Kim's point, if you can imagine, if I can take you on a story to mention kind of what she just said. If you're thinking about a motorist who's driving down the street, and maybe a mom with a stroller who's looking to cross the street, right? They have very different experiences, and they may have the signal that works for the motorist does not work for the mom who's going to cross the street, right? And so all those things have to be considered with regard to safety, because if the signal for the motorist isn't functioning, that could cause an issue for other motorists on the roadway. But if the signal for the mom going to push her stroller across the street isn't functioning, that puts her and her child in a vulnerable place as well. Now, if we add to the mix somebody who may have a disability with regard to hearing, let's say, if the signal that works for the motorist and that also works for the mom when she activates it does not have an audio component, then that user becomes at risk, because they cannot signal to the other people sharing the roadway that they need access to be able to cross safely. So you have constant interactions like that with different people who I would call have maybe complementary uses of the public space, but the interests are competing based on the infrastructure that is available, or in a lot of instances is not available. And so that is the challenge that policymakers and users alike are trying to figure out. Well, how can we have a solution that works for all of the roadway users? How can we better integrate this space so it's safe for any member of the public to use?
Okay. All right. And Allison, now coming from the accessibility perspective, what are you hearing about the barriers, the things that are keeping disabled from walking?
So since we just finished the season, the winter season, snow removal, ice removal was a big thing. It is actually the duty of everybody in the city. If you have a land property that is on a sidewalk, a public walkway, it is your duty to remove the snow and ice and keep it clear, so that way if you have a mobility device, a wheelchair, a motorized scooter, a cane, if you are visually impaired and you're using a walking cane, that those things are clear. Also, if you have any plants like trees, bushes that are growing out into the road, it's your duty to make sure those are clear. There's so many more, but we were just talking about scooters, and so in that area there's been a lot of the electric motorized scooters coming to our city, and of course they're great. Lots of people can use them. They're a great easy way if you are tired and don't want to walk or just have fun to rent a scooter and go a little bit further. But of course, if you have a disability and you are unable to use those scooters because you are an amputee and you're missing part of your leg, you wouldn't necessarily be able to use the scooter. If you had a spinal cord injury and you use a motorized wheelchair all the time to get around, you are unable to use the scooters. So what happens is you're not effectively sharing, because everybody should share the sidewalk. The scooters are not supposed to be on the sidewalk. They're supposed to be in the street so pedestrians can be safely on the sidewalk. And then of course with the scooters, they're being parked on the sidewalk in the way, like the actual way of the sidewalk, instead of off to the side, which again is supposed to be where when you're done using the scooter, you're supposed to kind of put it off out of the general walkway. So if you are using a service dog to see as your seeing eye dog, then the dog can safely lead you on the sidewalk and not have a scooter in your path.
I think something to build on what Allison was saying, I think something that anybody can do. There are lots of big policy issues or infrastructure issues that maybe each of us cannot affect every day, but something we all can do is be mindful of not only our experience, whether we're a motorist or a walker or a biker or a scooter user, but also the experience of other people we're sharing the roadway with. So if I perhaps am using a scooter, just hearing what Allison said, I should maybe be more intentional about parking my scooter out of the way so that I don't hinder the safety or functionability of someone else using that same public space.
Well, we have got some very information here. We're going to take a short pause. Okay. And we'll be right back to conclude this segment and get prepared for the next week that you guys will be on. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Well, we have covered a lot of information today, and we just want to let you know that we'll be continuing this conversation next week. Now, could you tell us how individuals can contact you guys?
Sure, absolutely. So people can contact Health by Design through a general email, which is info, I-N-F-O, @hbdin.org. Or our general phone number, which is 317-622-4820. For accessibility?
And for accessibility, our phone number is 317-926-1660. And then you can email me. My email is abishop, BISHOP, @abilityindiana.org. On our website, you can go on there, lots of resources. It's www.abilityindiana.org.
Okay. Well, we thank you guys for appearing on this show, and we'll see you again next week.
Yes.
And also, you can read about it. If you're blind, visually impaired, print challenged, you can read about public safety and a lot of other issues concerning our city on National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. So we'll see you next week, and take care of yourselves.
The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.